Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a lovely day. This is my first attempt at a build in Henford-on-Bagley, or the HoB, as Harold the lovely Lalama called it. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm going to be perfectly and completely transparent here. I had no clue. I definitely had to cut a few things out of the build because uncut the footage was about an hour and a half, sped up an hour and a half, just because I was a little bit uncertain of, what to place and where and how to do things. What really threw me, it was the landscaping. And I think looking at it, to me, it doesn't look any different than what I normally do. But if you look around the world, there's just not a lot happening. Or basically, like this farm, this little lot is isolated from everything. You see barns, you see sheds, you see outbuildings galore, you see low stone walls. There are some trees, but mostly this sits in an open field that eventually sweeps up into like a cliffside sort of moment. I did not know how I was going to make this blend in and not just look like someone placed a random farmhouse in the middle of a field, which maybe that's how it's supposed to look. I don't know. Or maybe I was supposed to go for something lower. I don't know. I don't know, but I struggled. I eventually found my way through, as you often do once you start a build and you really keep at it. But yeah, it was a hot mess express for a while there. So this is what I'm calling a family cottage. I think that's a strong word, a strong, bold statement, if you will. I think this is probably really a farmhouse, like a suburban farmhouse, kind of disguised as a cottage and not very well. However, I still ran with it. I mean, who's to say I'm wrong other than the entire world? But anyway, I digress. This is a family cottage. So it's got 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. There is a formal sitting room and a living room, a dining room, a formal dining, and then a kitchen with a little eat-in nook. There's also an office, a pantry that also has laundry. And then on the grounds themselves, there is a large field, which you're going to see. Well, it's not really a field. It's like a large gardening plot. But there's that right here that's coming together now. There's a barn, and there's also an animal pen. There's also beehives, but that's just because I had an awkward spot at the back that needed to be filled, and a pond. So you're going to see all of that come to life mostly. I did cut out the footage of the pond, all but one bathroom, and I didn't show the office or the pantry either. I didn't show the pond, again, transparency, because that's a new tool. This was my first time using it, and I didn't know what to do, but I learned it's pretty easy. It's like using terrain tools, terrain manipulation, except you kind of have to be aware of how deep you're really going and how fast. Anyway, you don't care, but I need to play around with that a little bit more before I feel comfortable showing how I arrive at the conclusion of using a tool like that, because I don't really even know how I got there. I just know how it ended up. It was a lot of going back and forth, and editing it was just going to be a nightmare, so I just cut it out. I didn't really landscape around it. I kind of left it as a flat pond. I did that because here, a lot of the ponds that you see on a farm, typically it's a cow pond, right? There's not boulders and things around it because you want the animals to be able to get in and out or access it easily. And that was kind of my thinking, although the cows in the game don't leave the penned areas from what I can tell. I haven't played a whole lot with them yet, so I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, just ignore me. But on the off chance I'm right, here we are, I suppose. So you saw me pull the gardening plot, the very large gardening field together. I do place this scarecrow. I was going to have the bird, well, it's a tree stump, but like wild birds will flock to it. Both of those items help keep, I'm going to say pests, not predators, but they help keep things away from your crops and your crops. I sound like a farmer. From your plants and things, so that you can harvest things that are of good quality. I don't play with gardening in the game a whole lot, if you cannot tell. It used to be fun. It used to be kind of grindy. Now it's a little bit like uninvolved, which is kind of funny because it's also super involved. I don't know. They buffed it. Sort of. What's the opposite of a buff? They changed it. We'll go with that. They changed it and made it a little bit too easy. In my opinion, this is just my opinion. I'm also not the type to really make outdoor sims, not in that way. I don't really play with the farm aspect or the off the grid aspect, although this is kind of making me want to try a rags to riches farm style. If you've ever watched any of those videos, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it is the Sim Supply. He started that. I believe he's the creator. And basically you start with nothing. You start with no money, nothing. You're just on an empty lot and you figure it out. Sounds fun to me. I have no idea if I'll do it or if I'll share any of that with anyone. But who knows? Not me, clearly. So I'm filling in the animal pen here. I left some things on camera just to kind of show you what my brain was doing in that current moment. I stacked some hay bales over here with a few other things. You will see some jumps, just like items will appear randomly. Like I said, editing some stuff down was a little bit of a challenge. I also built a barn. Now, the animals, so you can have a cow or a llama or both. There's 4 animal pens. There's 1 animal per pen. So obviously this plot of land can have 4 of whatever combination of the cow and llamas they choose. I built a barn. The animals won't go in here, so I just did storage decoration, but I also put a ton of skill building items, and I left the interior portion of this in. I didn't show you the full edit of the barn because it's basically an empty throwaway structure, but there's all kinds of things in here to do. There's the candle dipping station, the soda station, there's a punching bag, you can carve pumpkins, you can arrange flowers. The woodworking station's there. There might be other things. I threw a tractor in there because I'm imagining that the family that purchased this lot they've not owned it. It's not been in the family, but they've kind of inherited by way of purchasing all of this farming equipment, and it's all crusty, dusty, and rusty, and they're kind of trying to figure out how to get everything up and running and just trying to figure out how to be a farmer. So maybe they're not from the HoB, maybe they're from a city and they've retired here trying to live their best off the grid life, their best simple life, or maybe they're from here originally, they had moved away, now they've moved back and they're trying to remember the simple life. I'm not sure. I didn't make this family. I just made the home with a very, 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 very loose idea of what kind of family would live here. So that may not be the story you envision for this home. I have no idea. But I kind of liked that thought, so that I kind of carried that through with me as I was deciding what to place and where to place things. Now, as you may have noticed, I did the floor plan at the very beginning. That's not something I typically do. I usually make the structure and then go in and touch the floor plan. But I wanted to make this a pretty sizable house, so I wanted to make sure I had enough space for everything that I wanted. And I saved the windows for last for no reason other than I kind of forgot that I had already done the floor plan. And I usually do the windows last right after I do the floor plan. So I did things out of order and I got all discombobulated, but it's fine. We're fine, guys. We made it through in the end, I promise. But yeah, so I'm throwing in some doors. I do the floor, like the flooring and the wallpapers. Off camera, I will say I love the wood floor that came with this pack. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I think it's my new favorite. And I like the wallpapers, but they're a little bit strong. And I was trying to use those exclusively throughout the build. It didn't work. It didn't work out. I mixed quite a few packs, I think. This is definitely not a pack restricted build, but I was using those patterns in an entire house would have been sickening. And maybe there are people out there that pulled it off. I don't know. I've not watched any footage, really. There's one or two channels of cottage living footage that I've watched. And I don't know if I will go out of my way to watch it any further, honestly. Because I tried to avoid the early access footage. And even now that that's out, I won't go back and watch any of that unless I have a specific question and it pops up in a YouTube search. So I started with the living space. This is what I would call the family room. So you have like a living room, which in my head is more formal, and then the family room, which is where, like, you know, maybe there's Cheeto dust on the couch because everyone's in there all the time, you know, like that's the difference in my head. I don't know. I don't know if there's different words for it. It's probably sitting room and family room, but This is kind of like just the cozy space. Not everything matches, not everything's going to match. You can just sort of tell this is where the family gathers. I did not give them a TV. I don't think there's a single TV. Actually, there's one, but it's supposed to be a computer monitor. But I don't think there's a single TV meant to be a TV anywhere in this home, because I don't think that this home would have been outfitted for that kind of technology. And as I'm saying that, I totally added a computer. But you know what? It's fine. This was a big build. Sometimes intentions don't carry all the way through the entire thing. But as you can see right off of this living room, or the family room as I call it, there's a formal space. There's also a formal entryway, but there was also a bathroom. I cut that out, but that is a full, I don't think it's a 4-piece bathroom. I think it's just the tub, a sink, and a toilet. I don't think I added a shower until I got to the master bathroom, which I did leave on camera because I wanted to prove that I did the bathrooms. Actually, I just really liked that bathroom, and it worked. It worked out in my favor. So this is the formal area. This is kind of where you would sit if you have company, or maybe this is where the Christmas tree would go, like one of those couches gets pushed up against the wall. I do have some paintings. Like I said, I don't think the family has owned this house forever. I think these are likely paintings that were just left by the previous owner. Like maybe they all passed away and some long lost cousin inherited it and was like, yeah, I don't want this. So you can just take the house and take everything in it. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for, if you can tell. I will also note that I built this in the middle of a Sims summer. Like the season in the game is summertime. And I definitely 110% decorated some of the rooms for fall. I cannot be tamed, honestly. I'm sick of summer. It's probably my least favorite season. The only good thing about summer is that the days are longer, I guess. You can spend more time outside at night and it's not freezing. But like, it's so miserable to be outside during the day because it's so hot. And it gets so humid here that it's just like, I don't know. You feel wet all the time. Like it's not even you're not even really sweaty, but kind of. I don't know. It's disgusting and I hate it. So I do my best to avoid outdoor activities unless it's something I know I'm going to enjoy until it cools off just a little bit. And then we jump over here into the kitchen. Now, the kitchen is something that I definitely enjoyed. This definitely sparked joy for me. I did the two-tone upper cabinets and lower cabinets because I didn't want the entire kitchen to be the same shade. And I'm just telling you right now that range hood is the stuff of dreams. It is so cute. It's so, guys, I didn't even know that this was like my decorating style, and I don't really think it is. However, if that was my house, like for real, it would stay there. I would not replace that. That is adorable. It's very vintage, I think. I struggled with this cabinet piece. I didn't realize that the ones that go on the corner of a wall, like if you have like a 90-degree angle going the opposite way, in your kitchens, you can still have a counter or cabinet piece. I knew that existed. I didn't realize they were so cute. That's a recent discovery, and I don't really know how to place them. So you watched me struggle, and I left that in there for anyone also struggling. I'm with you. I used the OMSB shelf, my saving grace, to kind of decorate this window. It's not really a window seat. It's like a deep windowsill area. And I didn't realize, I think I changed it. Maybe, we'll see. I changed that planter box that's like kind of a dark blue to a different color. What I thought in game was like a brown. In the screenshots, it ended up being green, and I can't remember if I went back in and changed it or not because I've not placed the screenshots in the video yet. So just know that if it's like a really bright green color, it does not stay that way. So the uploaded version on the gallery, it's tan. And that was just because I was changing it in a reshade swatch or a reshade setting that I use for screenshots, and it distorted the color just a little bit just because of how the depth of field and all of that was working. So I did change it back. No, don't worry. No fears. But I realized as I was placing everything that this kitchen had that teal color, that dark blue color. I was using a lot of yellows, and it just kind of started to feel a little bit too staged, a little too planned. And if you can hear that, I'm uncrossing my legs. I didn't want it to look like everything had been bought at the same time or that everything was part of the same collection necessarily. So I did go in and change a few swatches just to break it up just a smidge. I do my favorite thing here. I'm going to add this little casserole dish. Actually, I don't even know if that's a casserole dish. That kind of looks like a soup pot. Anyway, I add that to the top of the stove. Again, that will not cause any routing issues for your Sims. You'll still be able to use the stove without any issue, but if it bothers you, you can just move it. I left a full-size one up as well because I think those are super, super cute. And the Country Kitchen kit came in clutch, and that was a tongue twister, and I'm surprised I made it through that without stuttering. As I stutter on the last word. But yeah, this is pretty much it for the kitchen. I did pull that picnic basket out that I had to find in the pre-made room because I couldn't find it in the debug menu. It's an activity, by the way, if you're wondering. And I placed that. I haven't used that feature yet, but I'm quite excited. I have a little family that I'm playing specifically for Cottage Living, and they're soon to have a baby. And once they have a full family, we'll go on a picnic. That's my plan, at least. I want it to be a family affair. And I will say, I used the rug that came with this pack in like 4 different rooms, maybe 5. 1, 2, 3. Maybe 5. Definitely 4. I can't stop, won't stop. And honestly, it's so cute. It's hard not to use. It's hard not to reach for. So that's my only line of defense. This is going to be the formal dining room. As you saw, I did place a full table with 6 chairs in the kitchen. Every single one, is it 6? Yeah. Every single one worked, but I gave them the formal dining room anyway, even with the 6 chairs. I decided not to do 8, even though that table will hold 8, because it felt a little too cramped, a little too closed off. And I thought if you're having a formal dinner party anyway, the kids will likely be eating in the kitchen or will be in bed. So it worked out in my head. Let me skip over the rest of the downstairs. It will be in the screenshots at the end. And we jump straight up into the master bedroom. This was going to be a closet. I decided that doing a closet would require using the modular furniture. It didn't really fit the vibe, so I made it a shower room. It's different, but I made it a shower room, and then the rest of the bathroom here has double sinks, double mirrors. Obviously, it's got a toilet and it's got the new tub. And the other bathrooms all have the same color scheme. They all have the same kind of layout, sort of. The other ones don't have that second door, so that's a little bit different. And they don't necessarily all have windows, but they are all basically aesthetically the same. So that's why I only showed one of these. If you've seen one, you've seen them all, and I decided to show the one that was the most unique, if that's fair to say. I then jump into the master bedroom here. It is a little all over the place. There's a lot of patterns happening. I'm aware this is not a bedroom that I would sleep in, to be honest with you. I don't think it's ugly, obviously, but it's just a lot going on. I would find it hard to find this restful because there's just a lot happening. And it is smaller, I will agree. The teenager's room, I think, ends up being bigger than the master bedroom. But this one has the bathroom, so it made sense that this was the master, in my head at least. But it comes together fairly simply. I didn't go crazy with clutter or anything like that. I just sort of placed out a few simple knickknacks because I'm imagining this is a pretty simple family. I put the toddler's bedroom. Can you hear my voice like running out of steam? I placed the toddler bedroom right next to the parents' room. I went for this really bright green that I enjoy. And I decided to make a changing table. Now, you don't change toddlers in the game. I'm aware of that. And I would have placed a crib, but I used the default replacement crib. And I just really didn't feel like decorating around that for it to not look the same once it was downloaded, you know? So I just went with the toddler room. Maybe they're a really young toddler and potty training is just not going well. And then I add a few knickknacks to their bedroom. That's really the only toddler bed I felt that I could use in a house like this, because the rest of them, as I said earlier this week with a friend of mine, it looks like Crayola spit up all over the furniture. It's so bright, and it's not terrible, but it's just, I don't know, if you have this like lovely house that's all themed one color, like say you're going for a really neutral palette, and then you have bam, like Crayola spit up land in like a corner of your build, it just throws the whole thing off. So I went with that toddler bed, and then we jump over here into the third bedroom as my voice cuts out. This is what I'm imagining to be for a girl, for a preteen. The toddler could be either gender, but I'm thinking she's probably on the cusp of being a teenager, but still kind of young, so maybe preteen stage, like 13, 12, somewhere in there. So she's got a toy box, she's got kid activities, but it's definitely got more of a grown-up aesthetic. I didn't want all of her furniture to match. I wanted it to feel more like she's maybe gotten hand-me-down pieces, and I really love that desk. I think that came with Paranormal, and I liked that the color didn't match anything in the room. I wanted to kind of go for that sort of wild card effect, I guess. And then we jump into the last room here, and this is the teenager's room. I was imagining a boy, but this one really is gender neutral as well. And this is actually where I'm going to leave you guys. So as always, feel free to leave a like or a comment down below letting me know what you think. You can subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. I will post the screenshots on Instagram. They'll likely already be up, and I will see you next Wednesday when I post my next video. And in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys. Come easy, some things slip out of your hand when you're down at the bottom. You need help to stand, no matter what reason. I'm searching to find when I'm lost among strangers. The darkness, the wind is in my hair, hiding from the shadows.